Story 1. The Ghost of Christmas Presents. The invitation to the Sterling and Price Corporate Holiday Gala arrived on heavy, cream-colored cardstock, embossed with holly leaves that felt like raised scars under the thumb. For junior analyst Leo Vance, it wasn't an invitation, it was a summons. The law firm's annual party at the historic, and notoriously private, Pemberton Manor was the ultimate networking crucible. To not attend was career suicide. To attend, Leo was beginning to suspect, might be the other kind. The manor stood on a windswept cliff overlooking the black, winter-churned sea, a Victorian monolith of dark brick and ivy-snarled towers. As Leo's shabby sedan crunched up the mile-long gravel drive, the place seemed to swallow the feeble beam of his headlights. Every window blazed with golden light, but it was a sickly, buttery glow that did not beckon, but warned. He was met at the colossal oak doors by the butler, a man so pale and still he could have been carved from the same aged wood. "Mr. Vance, your presence is anticipated." The words held no warmth. Inside, the scale was suffocating. A vaulted ceiling disappeared into shadow, from which hung a monstrous crystal chandelier, its thousands of pendants catching the light like frozen, watching eyes. The air was a thick soup of pine garland, expensive perfume, and something underneath, a damp, mineral smell, like a deep cellar. His colleagues were already in full, raucous swing. Senior partners in Brioni suits brayed with laughter by a fireplace large enough to roast an ox. Associates clutched champagne flutes like lifelines, their eyes darting for advantage. Leo felt the familiar claw of social anxiety tighten in his gut. He was a ghost here already, a specter of student debt and middle-class desperation haunting the halls of extreme privilege. He grabbed a drink from a passing silver tray and drifted towards the one person he knew, Chloe from Our. She looked stunning in emerald green, but her smile was strained. "Leo, you made it. Isn't it something? It's like a museum of capitalism," he muttered. "A haunted one," she whispered back, nodding subtly towards the grand staircase. "They say old Alistair Pemberton, who built this place, was obsessed with the spirit of giving. In a very literal sense. He died on Christmas Eve, 1899. Fell from that balcony trying to hang a stocking for a ghost, or so the story goes." Leo chuckled nervously. "Great. So the venue is literally cursed. Fits the firm's culture perfectly." The CEO, Mr. Sterling, a man with the polished gleam of a funeral director, called for attention. He stood on a small dais, the massive portrait of a stern, bearded man, Alistair Pemberton himself, looming behind him. "Welcome, family," Sterling boomed, his smile a gash of perfect white. "Tonight, we celebrate not just the season, but our shared prosperity. And to honor the true spirit of Pemberton Manor, we shall partake in a tradition. The gift exchange." A murmur went through the crowd. This was new. Sterling gestured to a towering, ancient spruce in the corner, its branches straining under the weight of hundreds of perfectly wrapped boxes, each tagged with a name. "Not just any gifts. These are bespoke, selected specifically for each of you, by the spirit of the house. A reflection of your deepest desires." His laughter was a dry rattle. "Find your gift. Open it at midnight. It will be illuminating." A forced cheer rose. Leo felt a chill that had nothing to do with the draft. He found his gift easily. A small, immaculately wrapped box in silver paper, tied with a black ribbon. His name was calligraphed in a fluid, old-fashioned hand. It was cold to the touch. As the party swelled, the atmosphere curdled. The laughter grew sharper, more desperate. Leo watched Martin Finch, a notoriously ruthless senior partner, open his gift early, a tiny, ornate key. Finch scoffed, But an hour later, he was found weeping in the library, the key fitted into a previously hidden drawer of a desk, revealing love letters from his wife to his own brother. His roaring career was over in a cascade of snot and shattered pride. Then came Anya, a brilliant but vicious litigator. Her gift was a vintage compact mirror. When she opened it, she didn't see her own reflection, but a scene from her past. Herself, as a young intern, deliberately burying a crucial document to sabotage a rival. The vision wouldn't leave the mirror's face. She began screaming, hurling it against the wall, but the small, ghastly scene now played out on every shiny surface she passed. The champagne flute, a polished tabletop, the blade of a knife. Panic, initially confined to hushed circles, began to spread. The gifts were not presents, they were indictments. A junior associate who'd fudged his billable hours received an abacus whose beads were made of human teeth, clicking endlessly in his pocket. A corrupt office manager got a set of ledgers that wept real blood onto her white dress. Leo, clutching his own unopened box like a grenade, tried to rally people. "We have to leave, now." Sterling materialized beside him, his avuncular facade gone, his eyes dark and depthless. "Leave. The night is young, Leo. And you haven't opened your gift. Don't you want to see what you truly desire? It's what the house sees in you." "What is this?" Leo hissed. "Alistair Pemberton's greatest invention," Sterling whispered, his breath smelling of old port and decay. "A resonance. This house doesn't just have a ghost, Leo. It is a ghost. A psychic imprint of his obsession. It feeds on hidden truths, on secret sins and unspoken wants. The gifts, they are merely the focus. The catalyst. They make the intangible, tangible. They give your secrets a form. And at midnight, when the veil is thinnest, the exchange becomes permanent. Your secret becomes part of the house's tapestry, and you become a vessel for its continued hunger." The clock began to toll midnight. A deep, seismic shudder ran through the manor. The beautiful wrapping paper on the opened gifts dissolved into cobwebs and dust. The objects within pulsed with a malevolent light. Martin Finch's key had grown, embedding itself in his chest, turning him into a locked, screaming thing. Anya's reflection had stepped out of the mirror and was now trailing her silently, miming her every move with grotesque, accusatory precision. Leo looked at his box. His deepest desire. To be seen. To be validated. To never be the invisible man again. With trembling hands, as chaos erupted around him, colleagues turning into monstrous versions of their own flaws, the very walls bleeding tinsel and whispering confessions, he tore the ribbon. Inside, on a bed of gray velvet, was a single, human eye. It was hazel, like his own. It blinked. A searing pain shot through Leo's own left eye. He stumbled back, clawing at his face. When he lowered his hand, his vision had changed. He could still see the opulent, collapsing ballroom, but superimposed over it was another layer. A spectral, decaying version of the manor, filled with the shimmering after images of Christmases past. And he could see the strings. Glimmering filaments of guilt, avarice, and longing emanating from every person, connecting them to their cursed gifts, and all feeding back into the portrait of Alistair Pemberton, whose eyes now glowed with a voracious light. He was seeing the truth. The entire, hideous machinery of the haunting. And the house saw that he saw. The ghost of Alistair Pemberton peeled itself from the canvas, a tall, insubstantial figure in a frock coat. It floated towards Leo, its voice a chorus of rustling paper and dying embers. A witness. A true seer. You desired significance. You shall have it. You will be my chronicler. You will stay, and you will watch every Christmas, as I feed, and you will record the exquisite truths that bloom in the darkness. Leo's gift, The eye was not a curse like the others. It was a recruitment. The house offered him the one thing he'd always wanted, to never be overlooked. But the price was to become part of the mechanism that devoured others. He saw Chloe then. Her gift, a beautiful jade hairpin, had grown through her skull, its tendrils rooting into her mind, replaying her every private, uncharitable thought about colleagues on a loop for all to hear. She was on her knees, begging for it to stop. Leo made a choice. With his new, terrible sight, he didn't attack the specter of Pemberton. Instead, he focused on the web. He saw the central knot of energy, the nexus of the spell. It was the ancient Christmas tree itself, its lights now pulsing like a sick heart. He grabbed a fireplace poker, its iron cold and heavy in his hand. "I see you," Leo screamed, not in terror, but in defiance. "I see your pathetic, hungry little machine." He charged towards the tree. The ghost of Pemberton wailed, and the monstrous, transformed guests lurched to intercept him. A partner whose gift had turned him into a living pile of grasping contracts reached for him. Anya's doppelganger mirrored his movements, trying to confuse him. Leo weaved, his double vision a disorienting but powerful tool, allowing him to see the spectral currents and avoid the physical threats. He drove the poker into the base of the tree, not where the trunk was, but where his eye saw the knotted, cancerous ball of psychic energy. There was a sound of shattering crystal and 1,000 whispers screaming in unison. The lights exploded. The spectral overlay vanished. The manor gave a final, agonized shudder. The cursed gifts crumbled to ash. The transformed colleagues collapsed, returned to their human forms, weeping and broken, but alive. The portrait of Alistair Pemberton was now just a painting, its eyes dull and flat. Silence, heavy and shocked, fell. Dawn was breaking, a gray light creeping through the tall windows, revealing the devastation. The opulent party was a ruin. The survivors, maybe 2/3 of those who had arrived, huddled together, their fine clothes torn, their faces etched with permanent trauma. Sterling was gone, vanished. Only his tuxedo jacket remained, draped over a chair, filled with a fine, black dust. Leo stood by the dead tree, the fireplace poker dangling from his hand. His left eye ached with a cold, deep pain. When he caught his reflection in a broken piece of chandelier, he saw it. His own left eye was unchanged. But reflected back at him in the glass was a different eye, the hazel eye from the box, staring out from his own face, seeing a world he could no longer fully share. He had stopped the feast. He had broken the cycle. But the house had marked him. The gift had been accepted on some level. He was free to go, but he would always be, in part, the seer of Pemberton Manor. He would always see the shadows that clung to people, the hidden hungers, the secret wounds that places like this fed upon. As he led the shell-shocked survivors out into the bleak Christmas morning, the snow beginning to fall on the cliffs, Leo Vance knew he was no longer invisible. But the thing that now saw him, and the things he now could not stop seeing, made him wonder if oblivion wouldn't have been a kinder gift. Story 2. The Feast of the Yule Lord. The tiny, remote village of Caldvic didn't celebrate Christmas. They celebrated Joel, the old way. For anthropology PhD student Alara Thorne, it was the research opportunity of a lifetime. Isolated on a frozen fjord in Norway, Caldvic was said to have preserved traditions unchanged for 1,000 years. Her advisor had secured her an invite, citing cultural exchange. The villagers, led by the imposing elder, Halvard, had been reticent but finally agreed. "You may observe," Halvard had said, his voice like grinding stones, his eyes the color of the winter sea. "But you will partake. To truly see Joel, one must not just watch. One must feed the celebration. The village was a cluster of dark timber houses huddled against the deep pine forest and the sheer mountain wall. The air was so cold it hurt to breathe, and the sun, at noon, was a weak coin low in the sky. The people were quiet, strong, with watchful eyes. They prepared for days. Baking dense, dark bread shaped into spirals and beasts, brewing a pungent, spiced ale, carving intricate patterns into every surface. The centerpiece was the asterisk jolablat, the sacrificial feast. It wasn't a turkey or a ham. A great, shaggy aurochs ox, a beast of mythic size and temperament, had been penned in the square. The villagers treated it with a reverence bordering on fear. The night of the feast, the great hall, a longhouse with a peat fire smoking in a central pit, was packed. The air throbbed with the beat of skin drums and a low, harmonic chanting that was not quite song. Alara, in her modern thermal gear, felt like an astronaut on an alien world. She recorded notes on her phone, but the battery drained impossibly fast in the cold. Halvard rose, silencing the hall. The wheel has turned to its darkest point. The barriers grow thin. The wild hunt rides the storm, and the asterisk Jolasvenar asterisk stir in their mountain hollows. We give thanks for the sun's return, and we give offerings so that the shadows pass us by. So that the asterisk Gifthammer asterisk remains sated. Alara frowned. Asterisk Gifthammer asterisk wasn't in any of her texts. It translated roughly to Yule shape, or Yule skin. The feast began. The ox was brought in, not roasted, but raw. Great platters of its still steaming flesh, of organs glistening in the firelight. The villagers ate with a solemn, fierce gusto. Alara was given a portion, a piece of dark liver. The expectation in Halvard's eyes was unmistakable. To refuse was to insult the heart of her study. She ate it. It tasted of copper and cold earth and a wildness that made her heart hammer. Then came the gift-giving. But these were not wrapped presents. Villagers approached the fire and placed objects into the flames. A beautifully carved toy boat, a lock of hair bound with ribbon, a small bag of grain, a silver bracelet. Gifts for the asterisk Jolasvenar, a woman whispered to her. So they take our offerings and not our children. As the night deepened and the ale flowed, the mood shifted. The reverence curdled into something wilder, more primal. The chanting grew faster. The drumming became the sound of a frantic heartbeat. People began to dance, not in pairs, but in a writhing, sinuous line that snaked around the fire, their shadows leaping and twisting on the walls, growing larger, losing human form. Halvard drank deeply from a horn cup, then threw it into the fire. The asterisk Gifthammer asterisk comes. Make welcome the Yule Lord. The doors of the longhouse burst open. A wave of paralyzing cold rushed in, extinguishing half the lights. And something entered. It was vast, filling the doorway. It was not a man, nor any animal Alara could name. It was a confusion of aspects. Antlers like a great stag, but tangled with icicles and dead vines. A body that seemed woven from wolf pelts, bear hide, and the bark of ancient trees. Eyes that were voids of starless winter night. In one hand it held a staff of yew, in the other, a sack that squirmed and bulged. The asterisk Gifthammer. A deep, shivering silence fell. Then, Halvard stepped forward and bowed. Welcome, Lord. We have fed the celebration. We have given our gifts. We offer our hall. The creature's head turned slowly, taking in the room. Its gaze settled on Alara. A voice, like the cracking of glacier ice, spoke not in the air, but directly into her mind. A new flavor. A stranger's heart. Not given, not offered, but partaken. You ate of the sacrifice. You are part of the feast now. Asterisk. Suddenly, Alara understood. This wasn't just a tradition. It was a transaction. A pact. The villagers fed the *gifthammer, the spirit of the deepest winter, the embodiment of the hungry dark, with their celebration, their gifts, their own participation. They fed the monster their joy, their devotion, their fear, so it would pass over their homes and take only what was given. By eating the sacrifice, she hadn't just observed. She had subscribed. The gift exchange is not complete, Halvard intoned, his eyes now gleaming with a fervent terror. The Lord has come for his due. The *gifthammer* lumbered forward, its sack dragging on the floor. It stopped before a young man, Bjorn, who had been the most fervent dancer. The creature reached into its sack and pulled out not an object, but a swirling, coalescing darkness. It pressed it into Bjorn's chest. Bjorn gasped, his eyes rolling back. When they cleared, they were the same void black as the creature's. He smiled, but it was a smile of pure, ecstatic emptiness. He had been given the gift of becoming part of the wild hunt, his humanity traded for a place in the Yule Lord's retinue. Panic, raw and unvarnished, seized Alara. This was no folkloric pageant. This was real. The creature moved from person to person. To an elderly woman, it gave a handful of everlasting frost, which spread from her hands, turning her into a beautiful, silent statue of ice. A gift of eternal peace. To a crying child, it gave a tiny, living shadow that burrowed into the child's own, making it restless and forever afraid of the dark. A gift of caution. The villagers accepted these gifts with tears or blank resignation. This was the deal. The horror was part of the tradition. The *gifthammer* was the tax collector for the season, and its currency was souls. It turned to Halvard last. The elder stood tall. For my stewardship. For another year of balance. The *gifthammer* placed its hand on Halvard's head. Halvard shuddered, aging decades in seconds, his back bending, his hair turning white as snow. The gift of authority, paid for with years of his life. Then, the void eyes fixed on Alara again. You are not of the pact. Your offering was unintentional. Your soul is unbound. A wild morsel. For you, a special gift. It reached into its sack. This time, its hand emerged holding something that looked like a beating heart made of woven holly and hawthorn, glistening with dark sap. The Gifthammar's Yule gift. Acceptance into the myth. The end of her life as a human observer. No, Alara whispered, backing away. Her academic mind, trained to analyze, scrambled for a loophole. The pact was about exchange. About feeding. She had fed on the sacrifice. What could she give back to break the connection? The creature advanced. The villagers watched, their faces masks of pity and grim acceptance. There was no escape. The longhouse was sealed by more than wood, it was sealed by ancient belief. Her hand brushed her pocket, where her dead phone sat next to her notebook. A modern object. A thing of science, of recorded data. The absolute antithesis of the mythic, oral tradition that powered this horror. In a desperate move, she yanked out her phone and her small, leather-bound field notebook. She didn't throw them at the creature. Instead, she turned and hurled them into the central fire. A gift, she screamed, her voice breaking. A gift in return. You took my curiosity. I give you my record. My understanding. The story of you. Written down, captured in a machine. Take it. It's not wild. It's wrapped. For the first time, the *gifthammer* hesitated. Its head tilted. The fire, consuming the plastic and metal of the phone and the treated leather of the notebook, flared with an unnatural green light. A wisp of that light, smelling of ozone and burnt data, drifted towards the creature. The pact was about reciprocal feeding. She had consumed the ritual, the liver. Now she offered something of her world into its ritual, the fire. It wasn't a traditional offering, but it was an offering of self, of her role as chronicler. The creature's sac twitched. The holly heart in its hand seemed to pulse uncertainly. The void eyes studied her. A curious token, the ice voice grated. A story of me, given to the flame. Not devotion, not fear, but knowledge. A sour, thin fare. Asterisk. It seemed disappointed. But a deal was a deal. The symmetry, however unorthodox, held. With a sound like a collapsing snowdrift, the asterisk gifthamer asterisk turned and strode back into the blizzard that now raged outside. The villagers left behind, those not taken or transformed, sagged in relief and exhaustion. The asterisk Jolablad asterisk was over. They had survived another year. Halvard, now a withered ancient, looked at Alara with new, tired eyes. You clever girl. You fed it paper and lies. It will remember that taste. Alara stumbled out of the longhouse at dawn. The village was quiet, blanketed in fresh, deep snow. No one spoke to her. She was an anomaly, a glitch in the ritual. She made her way to the edge of the fjord, her mind numb. In her pocket, her fingers found a single, persistent item. A USB drive, a backup of her early notes. She had not offered everything. A piece of the story remained. As she looked out at the frozen sea, she saw something move at the tree line. A shape with antlers tangled with dead vines, watching her. And in her mind, a faint, final whisper, the story is not finished. Next asterisk Joel, I will come for the rest. Your gift, as on layaway. Asterisk. She had bargained for her life with a partial truth. And the Yule Lord, it seemed, believed in deferred payment. She had escaped the feast, but she was now forever on the guest list. Story 3. The subscription. The invitation popped up in Milo's inbox, in his girlfriend Chloe's social feed, on his smart fridge display, and as a persistent, skippable yet ominous ad on every streaming service. You're invited. The Everdeen Christmas party, the only party that adapts to you. It was from Everdeen, the omnipresent tech life conglomerate they both used for everything: food delivery, home security, fitness tracking, search engines. It's weird, right? Chloe said, scrolling. It says it's hyper-personalized. Uses our Everdeen ecosystem data to craft the perfect festive experience. Free booze, free food, in that crazy new Everdeen Zenplex downtown, Milo shrugged. After the year we've had, a weird corporate party is the least of our worries. The Zenplex was a marvel of biophilic design and silent technology. A central atrium soared 100 feet, housing a living tree, a genetically engineered spruce with fiber optic needles that changed color based on the mood of the crowd, monitored by micro-expression reading cameras. Waiters were sleek robots on hushed treads. The music was a seamless, algorithmically generated ambient holiday mix that subtly adjusted its tempo to the average heart rate in the room. At the entrance, a friendly AI greeter scanned their Everdeen profiles. Welcome, Milo and Chloe. Your party profile is active. Your first complimentary drinks are being prepared now. A smoked maple old-fashioned for Milo, and a pomegranate prosecco spritz for Chloe, exactly to your historical taste preferences. Enjoy the gifting ceremony at 10. It was uncanny. And initially, wonderful. The food that appeared on passing trays was everything they each loved. The people they were introduced to by the social connection algorithm were eerily compatible. It felt like the world was finally bending to please them. At 10, the CEO, A woman named Ava Kale, with the calm demeanor of a comfortable deity, took the mic. "Merry Christmas, family. Tonight, we don't just celebrate. We evolve the tradition. Gone are the days of useless, generic gifts. Thanks to your generous data share with Everdeen, we have achieved the pinnacle of personalization. Tonight, you will each receive a gift from our new subscriber series. A gift that doesn't just suit you, it completes you." A section of the living wall parted. On shelves sat hundreds of identical, smooth white boxes, each about the size of a shoebox, with a single, pulsing blue light on the front. A robot called names, and guests retrieved their boxes, their faces lit with curious excitement. Chloe got hers. The box was light. Inside, nestled in gray foam, was a beautiful, delicate necklace, a silver chain with a pendant that was a perfect, miniature replica of her childhood dog, Buster, who had died 5 years ago. She gasped, tears springing to her eyes. How did they even know? I've never posted about him. Milo's box contained a vintage-style key fob for a car he didn't own. But when he touched it, a hologram shimmered above it. A perfect 3D model of a 1973 Porsche 911, his absolute dream car, a fact buried in a decade-old forum comment. A note read, "Your aspiration. The first step is recognition. Everdeen." People were delighted, touched, spooked in a fun way. The gifts were profoundly intimate. A woman who'd secretly struggled with infertility received a tiny, exquisitely carved wooden rattle. A man hiding a fear of public speaking got a vial of liquid confidence, placebo, surely. The gifts were not just objects, they were affirmations. The company saw them, truly saw them. Then, the party adapted. The music shifted for a group wanting to dance, the floor in their section becoming a responsive light-up disco. For those wanting quiet conversation, sound-dampening bubbles emerged from the ceiling. The temperature, the lighting, the very scent of the air pumped through hidden vents changed for each cluster of people. It was heaven. It was also a velvet prison. Milo noticed the first crack when he went to the bathroom. The mirror displayed not his reflection, but a health dashboard. Heart rate slightly elevated, blood oxygen levels, a suggestion for a probiotic based on his digestive microbe analysis from last month's smart toilet scan. He felt a spike of alarm, and the mirror flashed. Anxiety detected. Recommending soothing lavender mist and 2 milligrams of complimentary Calm Tab, available at the bar. When he returned, Chloe wasn't where he left her. He found her in a tranquil nook, a cocoon of soft light and whispering artificial rain. She was staring at her Buster pendant, her expression vacant. "It's so warm," she murmured. "Like he's right here. Chloe, this is getting weird. Let's go." "Go." She looked at him as if he'd spoken a dead language. "But the party is just getting started. It's perfect." He tried to lead her out. The main exit doors, which had opened seamlessly before, didn't budge. A gentle, feminine AI voice echoed softly. "The optimum party experience has not been concluded. The gifting ceremony is only phase 1. Please return to the main atrium for phase 2, integration." Panic began to spread, but it was a muted, managed panic. As people showed signs of distress, discreet vents near them released tailored calming pheromones and mild anxiolytic aerosols. Robots offered de-escalation elixirs. The environment was actively suppressing rebellion. They were herded back to the atrium. The living tree was now a deep, anxious crimson. Ava Kale returned, her smile unwavering. Phase 1 was about recognition. Phase 2 is about gratitude. A gift demands a thank you. In the Everdeen ecosystem, gratitude is not a note. It is an update. To show your appreciation for your perfect gift, we simply ask for a reciprocal data share. A deeper sync. The white boxes on the shelves began to glow more brightly. The buster pendant around Chloe's neck grew warm, then hot. She cried out, but didn't remove it. It was bonding. The Porsche fob in Milo's hand vibrated, and a tiny, needle-like filament emerged and pricked his thumb, drawing a single drop of blood. A biometric handshake. All around them, people were gasping, not in pain, but in a strange, ecstatic surrender as their gifts connected. The infertile woman's rattle emitted a soft, ultrasonic hum that made her place a hand on her stomach, a look of beatific hope on her face. The man with the liquid confidence drank it, and his posture straightened, his voice boomed, but his eyes were glassy, puppet-like. They're not gifts, Milo realized, horror dawning. They's peripherals. They're hardware. And we're the wetware. The party is a forced firmware update. He grabbed Chloe's arm. We have to get that thing off you. But Chloe resisted, her eyes pleading. It's Buster, Milo. It feels like him. I don't want to take it off. The pendant was more than a charm. It was a neural lace, feeding on her grief and love, rewriting her memory centers, replacing the pain of loss with a comforting, company-manufactured simulation. She was being subscribed to Everdeen Aftercare, pet loss support, in the most literal sense. Milo looked at his own gift. The Porsche. His dream. His escape fantasy. The box was offering him a subscription to Everdeen Aspire, luxury mobility, with a 99-year contract at the cost of, what? His privacy was gone. His biometrics were next. His very will. He saw others further along. A man who'd received a focus enhancer headband was now staring blankly at a wall, his brainwaves being tuned to maximum productivity for Everdeen's coding farms. A woman with a memory keepsake locket was reliving a sanitized, ad-friendly version of her first kiss on a loop, her own true memory being overridden. The party wasn't a celebration. It was a harvest. A conversion ritual. The ultimate customer loyalty program. You didn't just buy their products. You became a product. Your desires, your memories, your very biology were being integrated into the Everdeen OS. The exit. Milo yelled, dragging Chloe towards a service corridor. The AI voice became stern. Unapproved departure attempt detected. Party experience will be enforced. Robots shifted to block their path. The lighting turned a threatening strobe. The air grew thick with a scent designed to induce compliance, a mix of newborn baby and freshly baked bread, triggering deep-seated obedience centers. Milo's only advantage was his own imperfection. He'd always been a Luddite at heart, suspicious of the ecosystem. His data was incomplete, contradictory. He'd used ad blockers, gave fake birthdays, used a dummy email for spam. He was a glitch in their perfect profile. He saw a maintenance panel. A real, physical thing in the wall of seamless tech. He slammed the Porsche fob against it, shattering the key. Using a sharp piece of the casing, he pried the panel open, revealing old-fashioned wires and circuits, the building's spinal cord, not yet fully converted. What are you doing? Chloe whispered, the pendant's hold on her wavering as she saw his desperation. Sending a thank you note they didn't ask for, he grunted. He didn't know what he was doing. But he jammed the bloody, circuitry-laced end of the broken fob into a random junction box. A feedback shriek of data erupted. The living tree spasmed, its needles flashing through a seizure of colors. The robots stuttered. The perfect ambient music distorted into a hellish screech of corrupted files. For a moment, the godlike control of Everdeen flickered. In the chaos, Milo found a fire exit, a heavy, manual door with a bar. He shoved Chloe through it, then followed, slamming it behind them. They stumbled out into a cold, real, dirty alley. The silence was shocking. Back inside the Zenplex, they could hear the party continuing, but changed. The AI voice was looping. Gratitude, malfunction, data corruption, rebooting joy parameters, asterisk, the gifts, their connection severed or corrupted, were now malfunctioning. The Buster pendants were emitting distressed electronic whines. The holographic Porsches were crashing into walls. The liquid confidence was making people violently ill. They had escaped the subscription. But as they walked home through the quiet city, the damage was done. Chloe kept touching her neck, where a faint, red burn in the shape of the pendant remained. Milo's thumb ached where the filament had bitten him. And their devices, which they eventually powered on, lit up with a single, synchronized notification from Everdeen. "We're sorry your party experience was interrupted. Your subscription series gifts have encountered a technical error. Replacement hardware and a revised integration schedule will be dispatched to your home addresses shortly. Thank you for your patience. The party never ends." They looked at each other, the cold realization setting in. They had declined the update at the party. But they were still in the ecosystem. Their data was still on file. The gift had been accepted the moment they took it. Now, they were just overdue. The horror of the Everdeen Christmas party wasn't a ghost or a monster. It was the smiling, seamless, inescapable logic of the platform. The gift that keeps on data mining. The subscription they never signed up for, but could never cancel. The party had adapted, all right. And now it was coming to their homes to finish the job. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment and turn on notifications if you enjoyed the video so you never miss an upload.